everyone and welcome to the Formula E Pit Lane Preview Show. My name's Darren Antitossier.
I'm Saunders CB.
And we are in Rome at the Eternal City for rounds 13 and 14 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship.
It feels good to be back.
Oh yeah.
I say that, I think every pit lane preview, but no, I guess that's the affinity that we have with Formula E race locations. Rome's up there as well, like 100%. Italy as a place. I mean, I'm going to do the phrase, mwah, absolutely lovely. But let's talk about this weekend because we have been lucky to have experience of racing here across all generations of Formula E.
Yep.
Gen 1 cars, Gen 2 cars, and now for the first time, Gen 3 cars. We know that Gen 1 and Gen 2 was incredibly exciting. We know that Gen 3 has been incredibly exciting this season.
Yep.
Rome, Gen 3 cars, put them together. That gives us a lot to look forward to, starting with a rookie practice session to kick things off. Excellent.
Love it. So much to look forward to. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, Saunders, I feel like it's only right to reflect on Portland for a hot sec.
Sure.
What an amazing race and what a battle between Jake Dennis and Nick Cassidy.
It's getting spicy, isn't it?
So good, like this sun.
Like this, exactly. It is super tight at the top. We've just got 1 point now between Jake Dennis and Nick Cassidy. Very, very competitive.
So
I mean, Pascal Wehrlein not even that far behind also, and you know Mitch Evans not even that far behind him. This is getting very competitive and spicy towards the end of the season. I think on the trajectory of racing that we've had so far, I think this is going right down to second race London, to the very wire.
Oh, would you look at that? We got a Saunders prediction this early on in the show, things we love to see. Now, coming up, I went out and about in Rome and put together a bit of a city guide for you as always.
Oh, looking forward to seeing that. What else have we got coming up in today's show, Darren?
Well, I've heard that you caught up with Jake Dennis, our championship leader, to hear all about his winning streak, how he's feeling, and what to expect this weekend from the man.
Gets a little bit spicy, that one.
Ooh.
Stay tuned, you're going to enjoy that. We also spoke to the two Neo 333 racing drivers, Dan Ticktum, Sergio Setti Camera, about racing here, previous successes, and how this weekend, with the temperature, could be a very different race. But first, we put your fan questions to Jake Hughes, and here's how he responded.
I'm not very good with a lot of milk, so I have it with water, which means I have to pack it full of dark chocolate, peanut butter, honey, just to make it taste right, because otherwise plain oats with just water is a bit disgusting. Oh yeah, I have to back myself, definitely me. Oh, best dessert, it's got to probably go gelato. Diriyah or Monaco? I'd say Diriyah because it's a Formula E track. I've enjoyed it even more so than I expected to, and then the difficulty of it is probably higher as well. It was myself by accident actually when I was 16, so I found it completely by accident at my local go-karting track. I'd probably say Diriyah race 1. Reason being I hit the wall after 10 laps and I spent the rest of the race with my steering bent 45 degrees and managed to finish 8th. Can't say Birmingham, can I? That's a bit. I'll say Sydney. Pizza, pasta on pizza. What do I have to choose? I'll go with pizza. I would like to say it would be football, but I wasn't good enough when I tried that as a kid, so I'll say cyclist. It's harder than even I expected, and I already thought it was pretty hard. And then results-wise, I am happy. I'm in the top 10, so hopefully get a trophy before the end of the season. Present Villa player? I'd say go Philippe Coutinho because he's a bit small, so he suits the car. Oh, that was amazing, amazing. I've actually raced in Monaco for 3 races now, and I've started on pole 2 out of 3 times, so it's a good ratio. He's a big challenge to beat him. So when you beat him, it's you know you deserve it.
Thank you very much to Jake Hughes for answering those fan questions, and thank you very much to you for sending them in. Stay tuned to Formula E social channels as always, as we've got one more of those fan Q&As left in London later on this season.
Make them juicy. Now, Saunders, this is going to be a new race for Jake, but he's been doing really well in qualifying. How do you think he'll fare on this circuit?
It's an interesting question because, as you said, Jake Hughes has been good in qualifying, and there is a kind of tone or undertone in the paddock that qualifying might be a little bit more important here than it has in previous races so far this season. So that kind of plays into his favour. He doesn't have much experience on this track, or there's a lot of drivers on the paddock that have a lot of experience on this track. So getting up to speed with it certainly gives him a disadvantage, let's say. But then again, I think in Gen 3 cars, this racing, this heat, is going to cause at least some havoc in the race. And that's where people like Jake Hughes, if they get in the right position, they can capitalise on and make positions up. So yeah, I mean, it's up for grabs, but there's a lot of competition that are all gunning for a title as well, don't forget that.
Yeah, well, speaking of competition, from one Jake to the other, Jake Dennis, he's going to be wanting to score those crucial points this weekend. You caught up with him. How's he feeling ahead of it all?
I mean, it was a really good chat. And we talked about his championship hopes, his feelings about, aspirations for the championship, where his head is going into this race. I won't spoil it, but he also talked about a bit of a developing rivalry he has with another driver in the paddock. And he's not shy about talking about it, let's say. Check it out. So, Jake Dennis, we're here in Rome. At this point of the season, 2 weekends left, 4 races. You're at the top, but only by a point. What is it going to take to stay that way?
Consistency is going to be the biggest thing, and a good qualifying. These past few races, what we've seen, especially in Portland, qualifying was sort of out the window. It didn't really matter. Obviously, we made the pole at the track where you don't even want pole position, but nevertheless, I think here in London, we need to be on the front 2 rows to try and win the race. It's going to be extremely challenging to overtake. It's super tight and super twisty. So, if we can just continue our performance in qualifying, what we've had over the past three rounds, we haven't come off the front row since Jakarta. So, yeah, I'm confident that the team can give me a good enough car for that. I just need to obviously deliver the lap when it matters, and if we can do that, then I think we'll have a good weekend, because race pace this year has always been strong.
So let's talk a little bit about your mental preparation and the sort of position you're coming into this weekend in, because even though you have been at this position before in the past, pushing for a championship in your rookie year, it feels different this year because it's been more consistent. There's been more podiums, there's been more wins. How does that change your preparation or the way you come into a race like this?
It doesn't change anything from my side, because I'm always quite a chilled out, laid back guy. I don't really try and put too much pressure on myself. Obviously I get nervous and there's always pressure, but especially before qualifying, but nevertheless, I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. We've had 5 podiums in a row, we've had 8 in total, so obviously what we're doing right now is working. Obviously I'd really like to get a couple of more wins. It's been a while since Mexico, but yeah, just keep it light-hearted inside the team, keep the morale high between everyone. Everyone feels pressure, so it's just a bit on myself, a bit on Sean, my engineer, to really keep the team fluid and working well, and I think we're doing that this year. Obviously London's going to be a big one for me. There's going to be a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation. We've obviously done well there in the past, but yeah, if I can arrive in London still in championship contention, then I think we've done a solid job in Rome, whatever that will be, and then we do the damage there.
We talk about London and a solid job in Rome. Now I need to double check the maths, but if you were to get pole position, fastest lap, race win, and nobody else got any points,
oh no,
you could win this weekend.
Oh, I appreciate that. Probably by a point or something like that as well. But yeah, I mean that's very unlikely, but I'll take it if that happens. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to do. Cassidy's performing well. Mitch will be strong here. Pascal, it's been up and down lately, but I'm sure he'll turn it around pretty soon.
It's so interesting when you talk about you and Nick, because there actually is so little to separate you as drivers, not just in Formula E, career-wise. I've started looking at some stats, and they really, you're kind of level on a lot of things, like number of races in Formula E, I think number of all-time podiums, you're literally all there. But the difference is that there's this added dynamic this year, because you've got customer versus manufacturer on 2 counts in the top 4 in the championship, and as it stands, you guys are beating your manufacturer, and no manufacturer wants that. Have you noticed a sort of slight tweak or change in the relationship between you and Porsche?
I think the dynamic started off really well. It's been a pretty fluid situation between the 2 guys, or the 2 teams. There's obviously rivalry between us, and it's pretty fierce for sure. Obviously me and Pascal aren't the best of friends yeah, I don't really know why that happened. It was on his account, and yeah. So now we don't speak, which is just makes me want to beat him more. Because I'm so not that type of guy to do that. I'm so friendly with everyone. There's not really anyone I don't really get along well with in this paddock. So it's a bit of a shame to see, but ultimately, yeah, it's just fierce rivalry between the two teams, and I'm sure it is with Envision and Jag. Mitch will want to beat Nick as much as I want to beat Pascal. So yeah, we're all racing drivers. We all just want to go out and beat everyone, and really whoever it is, whether it's Nick or Pascal, you know, and that last race in London. I don't really care as long as I try and come out on top.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how it all takes place on track this weekend.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much to Jake for answering those questions. Saunders, he is on pretty good form at the moment.
Good form, big string of podiums, and you know, even though I think he really wanted to win in Portland, you can't really turn your nose up of a podium from pole position. A place that we have come to learn is one of the hardest places to start a race this season in Formula E, with all the energy management, everything. So he can be happy with that. And of course, it was the points that gave him the championship lead. Only a point still, but he's still in the lead in the second to last weekend of the season.
Exactly, and no doubt he'll be looking to build that momentum at this weekend with all that he's been doing.
Absolutely, the guy has got form to follow because there's a championship up for grabs.
Yeah.
But just to talk about Rome a bit more, because we are in this incredible city, we love coming here.
City.
It's got history, it's got culture, it's got landmarks, it's got amazing food.
I was waiting for the food. I was like, please don't miss that on.
Food.
The best.
And you had the chance to go and explore and see what was out there. How did it go?
I did indeed. Oh, so much fun, such a vibe. I really love this place and put together a city guide for you. So this is Rome Discovered, brought to you by Saudia. This week we're back in Rome, Italy for the 5th year racing in this incredible city. Home to amazing food, architecture, history and art, this city is filled with culture, so if you're joining us for the racing action this weekend, there's lots for you to see and explore. This is Rome Discovered, brought to you by Saudia. Built by Agrippa between 25 and 27 BC, the Pantheon is one of the only ancient Roman buildings that is still practically intact and is an amazing spot for you to come down and visit to feel like you're fully immersed in the ancient Roman history. The Trevi Fountain is perhaps one of Rome's most iconic structures. You've seen it in the movies, you've seen it on the gram, but here it is in all of its glory, in the flesh. It was built in the 1700s, made from the same material as the Colosseum, the Travertine stone, and is a modern marvel that links back to Rome's infamous past. So if you're out and about in the city, this is definitely a spot to come and visit, grab an ice cream, soak up the atmosphere, and of course, make a wish. Well, from Monaco to Rome, we're now at Testaccio Market. Stoffel, great to have you here. How are you enjoying Rome so far?
Yeah, it's going good so far. I'm very happy to be back here, one of my favorite locations to race. So yeah, looking forward to the weekend.
Why do you enjoy racing here so much?
The track is great. It's one of the longest ones in Formula E and one of the most challenging ones. So it feels very rewarding when you do a good lap around here. And I've also had some very good results.
And of course, good results are fueled by a good diet. I don't know if we can get that right here in Italy. However, we have to admit the food is pretty good, isn't it?
The food is great and definitely one of my favorite places to come to. You know, the pasta, the pizza, bread in general is it's amazing here. So it's always nice to combine that with the racing.
And if you had to pick one out of those three, pizza, maybe a focaccia, pasta, which one are we going to go for?
I would definitely go for pizza.
Pizza, yeah. Well, we are in one of the oldest food markets in Italy.
You want some?
All right, so tell me, how's the pizza?
It was great. Nice to try it out, although maybe a little bit early in the day, but yeah, it was very good.
So what's the rest of your day going to look like?
Yeah, just going to stroll around a little bit more and then go to the circuit, catch up with my team and get ready for the race ahead.
Exciting. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out. Lovely to see you. Best of luck this weekend. Salute.
Thank you.
Now, if you're looking for a place where you can really feel at home in Rome, then look no further than the Trastevere neighbourhood. Located on the opposite bank of the River Tevere, this place is known for its distinct narrow alleyways and medieval houses, and here you can find restaurants, cafes and bars, which if you come here at night, it's absolutely buzzing. And finally, we're here at Villa Borghese, which is a beautiful green space in the middle of the city centre and is the perfect spot to finish off your day of sightseeing and relax and unwind in the nature. So as you can see, lots to do and discover if you're joining us here in Rome, but of course the main attraction is going to be this weekend with Formula E. So stay tuned for that, but if you're tuning in from home, then head over to FIAFormulaE.com to find out where you can watch.
Great stuff, as always. Always lovely to see what we can get up to in the locations that we go racing in.
Oh, such a great city, joined by great company. Saunders, no hard feelings, but yeah, really had fun going out and about.
I mean, great city, check. Great food, check. Good company and stuff, all check. Can't go wrong.
Love it, no hard feelings there then.
Oh, well, none taken, none taken. Let's get back to racing, let's get back to business, because we caught up with the two Neo 333 racing drivers, Dan Tickton and Sergio Setti Camera, to talk about this race we have coming up, or races we have coming up this weekend, and how it might differ with the Gen 3 car.
Yeah, I think it will be one of the hottest ones in the season, but I guess not as bad as Jakarta.
No, Jakarta with the humidity is bad.
Yeah.
Although, like, I think you only bring up the iPhone app and it says 35 and it actually feels like 40. That's what it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I don't survive very well in these climates. Look at all my bites, mate. Have you got any? Look at that.
From what?
I've got a
From
nice one up here,
mosquito bites.
Look at that, yeah. We see that? Lovely.
So yeah, last year was good for the team here, wasn't it? So
Yeah, it was pretty
how was
good.
the race?
I think the race was probably one of the most chaotic of the season. I can't remember how many DNFs there were, like 7 or 8, and we just kept our noses clean, to be honest. I mean, yeah, again, being honest, we probably didn't have the pace really to finish there if it wasn't for the DNFs. But like in terms of one lap pace, again, which is where we've been strong this year. Even last year here, I think I was 4th in practice. So
Yeah.
the one lap pace last year was quite strong. So hopefully this year it will be good as well. How was the race for you last year?
So if I can remember well, I think I was P9, something like that, and then I got shunted by De Vries in T1 actually.
You did quite well in qualifying, no?
Yeah,
Last year?
I typically qualified well in Rome. I always had the pace. I think Dragon had a good car around here as well, my previous team, and I have good memories from this track. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
For me,
me
it's probably my favorite. This and London are my favorite tracks.
Yeah,
In
they're
and
probably
New
the
York,
hardest.
New York was also fun. So how has the season been until now?
I would say pretty mixed, to be honest. I think looking at where we were last year, obviously it was Gen 2 last year, Gen 3 this year. One lap pace was pretty good last year, but I would say it's even better this year. I think the braking and the systems in our car and overall mechanically, we've been pretty strong in most places. I feel like I should have had pole in Saudi, but I messed up.
The last corner.
Yeah, I messed up in the semi-final, unfortunately. In the races, again, I'll be brutally honest, I think, as we know, we've struggled a little bit with efficiency. So it's been a bit frustrating at times because we obviously can't translate our one lap pace when it gets to the race, really.
Some races we had a good pace in qualifying. I remember Monaco was good.
Yeah.
Had some issues there with getting a penalty, but I like these races where we're actually fighting for a top 5 in quality. Of course, the races where the points are there to be taken, most of the points.
Yeah.
But I think the best weekends are those where we're actually fast in qualifying. I actually do think London and Lomme have all the characteristics to be one of those tracks that suits us.
Yeah,
I
agree.
actually do think, because all the braking thing,
Lots of braking.
capacity, we're pretty good. So let's hope it's a strong one for us. Okay, man, let's have a good one.
Yeah.
I stole it.
All right, Saunders, well, we've officially made it to that time of the show where I will be asking for your predictions. And I want to know from you, is it going to be the classic Jake Dennis, Nick Cassidy situation, or do we think that Pascal Wehrlein and Mitch Evans might climb their way up to the top?
I love how you say classic there. I'll tell you why that's interesting, because nobody outside of Dennis, Cassidy and Wehrlein have led the championship all season. So it is a classic, it's traditionally been those three. We've got to talk about the championship now though, because we're that far into the season where really we're talking about how it's all going to end. This race is just a pawn in the overall game of chess that's going to be taking place, and someone will be crowned champion.
Yeah.
Jake Dennis at the top, 1 point ahead of Nick Cassidy.
So close.
Both incredibly consistent.
Yeah.
Nick Cassidy is the one with the most recent win. Jake Dennis is the one with the most recent pole. Qualifying, as Jake said earlier, might be more important here.
Yeah.
So if he can maintain that pace, Nick Cassidy does all of the work in the races. but he can do all of the work in the races. So he doesn't even need to qualify well. These are kind of the thoughts I'm putting out there.
What about the other drivers on the grid?
Well, you have to talk about them because this weekend is where they stamp any mark or any hope of being in that championship fight come London has to happen this weekend for people like Pascal Wehrlein and Mitch Evans. Now, Pascal Wehrlein has done pretty well fairly consistently over double-header races this season. In fact, if you look at the stats of average points per double-header weekend,
Are we going to get a Saunders
Pascal Wehrlein just edges it, because even the races he hasn't been on the podium, he's been like 5th or 6th or something.
Yeah.
Whereas Jake Dennis, out of the 6 double-headers, has had 5 second places but 1 18th.
Wow.
So it immediately changes the stats. So yeah, Pascal Wehrlein, good at double-headers. He's shown good form and good performance this season, but hasn't shown the consistency.
Yeah.
So that's going to have to come to light here. Mitch Evans, there is not a single driver on this grid that is better statistically in Rome than Mitch Evans.
Yeah.
The guy has won here 3 times. That's almost, I think, half as many of the times we've raced here, he's either won or been on the podium. In fact, more than half, he's either won or been on the podium. So you have to look at Mitch Evans. There are another few drivers that are worth thinking about ahead of this race and that potentially could impact the championship, because there is a teams game going on as well. There's teams play. You've got the likes of Jean-Eric Vergne. He's just behind. He's in the closing out the top 5th space in the championship, but he's good at Rome. He's done a podium here before. Robin Frijns showed a massive step up in performance for Abt Cupra in Portland, and this is a circuit he's been on the podium for a few times. But in the teams, we've got to talk about the other driver. And when I say the other driver, I mean the teammate. I'm talking the Andre Lotteritz, the Sebastian Buemis, the Antonio Felix da Costa. Out of those, only one of those teammates is doing the work for the team, Antonio Felix da Costa. And that team championship is spicy. I'm going to say one last thing, because I realise we've been talking for a long time.
No, keep it coming, keep it coming.
The one last thing is, in the teams championship is very interesting, because at the moment you've got 2 customers beating their manufacturers. That is not something that any manufacturer will want to be the case come the end of the season. So how will they use the other teammate to help their chances? And I think da Costa probably in the best position to help Pascal for this weekend.
Wow, Saunders, thank you very much for that thorough analysis. I feel like we should all be hitting the thumbs up button just for that. But of course, there will be only one way to find out what goes down this weekend in Rome, the Eternal City. So join us on Saturday and Sunday for round 13 and 14 of the AVB FIA Formula E World Championship.